Good evening, everybody. And first of all, I'd like to thank Business World for giving me an opportunity to share the dais with such distinguished women entrepreneurs as well as very successful women achievers in India, because this is a topic that deserves a lot of reflection. It deserves a lot of attention by everyone in this room and beyond. It is a topic which is very important because we have 1.3 billion people in this country. More than 48% of this population, according to the last census, and that was in 2011, and therefore that census figures would be very different today. More than 48% of this country are women. And when we look at what we as a country, as a civilization, have always stood for, we have stood for a civilization which has celebrated women and mothers right from its inception. We have the Shiv and the Shakti venerated and celebrated and prayed to in equal measure as a society, as a civilization, as people. We have always had women, historically and mythologically speaking, empowering men. It was not a case of men empowering women. It was actually a case of women empowering men. We have the stories of the Rani of Jhansi. We have the stories of several women freedom fighters who earned freedom for this country, battling side by side with men of equal stature. We have had women represent us in almost every sphere of life at the highest levels, be it politics, be it the Prime Minister of this country, be it the President, be it large companies, public sector organizations, private sector organizations. They have been and they are the CEOs of many of these companies. Be it in science and technology, Kalpana Chawla being the first person, the first woman to be in space from India. Be it the Tessie Thomas, who is the missile scientist and who has donned that mantle after Shri Abdul Ji Kalam, who was considered as the last missile scientist of India and who rose on to become the president of the country. We are therefore a country which has celebrated women, venerated women, allowed women to occupy the highest levels of society. And yet, today, for whatever reasons one could attribute it to, we are a country which is among the lowest in terms of women entrepreneurship, women employment, and the ability of women to have equality in opportunity, in accessibility, in empowerment, in their financial well-being, and in being considered equal in society to everything that the men are allowed to do. And that is a very, very important issue for all of us to address. I'm the mission director of the Atal Innovation Mission, which is focusing on how we can ensure that we can create and promote an ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of our country. And there can be no innovation or entrepreneurship movement in our country if we do not take the women along. The Prime Minister of this country has had several slogans which are very popular in terms of providing the girl child, providing women equal access, equal opportunity, and so on. But I want to share with you a little bit more about how innovation, how entrepreneurship can help drive and change the way we are having our women access and address every opportunity that is there to propel our nation forward, not just their families forward, not just the immediate society forward, not just the state in which they are living forward, but actually propel this nation forward. Because we also have what they call as a demographic dividend. We have 65% of our population under 35 years old. And that means 50% of the 65% population is under 35 years old. And that means if we allow our women equal opportunity, and if we have 45 to 50% of our women to become entrepreneurs, to become employable, to be the equal breadwinner in a family, the change that can happen in this country, the transformation that can happen, the way we can progress, not just from a societal point of view, but also from an economic point of view, is absolutely mind-boggling. And why do I say this? We have only 7 in 100 women as business owners today. We have 16 million women entrepreneurs, but that represents only 14% of the entrepreneurs as women in a country where you can have actually 50% entrepreneurship. We have still major problems because of 4 reasons for women. First and foremost, there is the personal and the cultural problem. Are we as a society encouraging our women, our children, our girl children to be able to rise to the highest level and realize their full potential? We launched thousands of Atal Tinkering Labs across this country as Atal Innovation Mission. The Atal Tinkering Labs are dedicated innovation workspaces in schools where children from grade 6 to grade 12 get a chance to work on the latest technologies, 3D printing, robotics, IoT devices, miniaturized electronics, augmented virtual reality, through do-it-yourself kits. The idea was to encourage every child who is now in school not to get embraced into rote learning that all of us have so popularly been used to and grown up to, but to actually encourage a problem-solving, innovative mindset. Now, when we launched this program, we also made sure about 2 things. One, that we have diversity of geography in establishing these adult tinkering labs, because we want to give everybody, whether they are in the tier 1 cities or the tier 2 cities or the tier 3 cities or the remote hilly districts or the coastal districts or the rural districts of this country, we want every one of them to have access to these adult tinkering labs. We want to create a problem-solving, innovative, entrepreneurial mindset in our young school students. And remember, 50% of these students are girls. So we took a special initiative to ensure that 70% of our schools which have adult tinkering labs are either girls' schools or co-ed schools. We launch adult tinkering challenges to promote and provoke our children into problem solving and innovation using these technologies. And lo and behold, what has happened as a result of this? In the last tinkering marathon, we run an annual tinkering marathon called Atal Tinkering Marathon, where we launch 11 challenges in different sectors: healthcare, water management, clean drinking water for all, electricity for all, affordable housing, smart transportation, smart metering, and so on and so forth. In the last Atal Tinkering Marathon that we launched, more than 50,000 students participated in this marathon. These are children between grade 6 to grade 12. 50% of the participation were girls students. We had 8,000 innovations created by the students. Every school ran an Atal Tinkering Marathon Day where they invited their parents, the teachers, the local community of judges to be able to judge the best innovation made by the students, because we wanted the parents to see what their own children are capable of. And more importantly, we wanted to ensure that the parents and the teachers see what the girl children are capable of. 1,500 innovations got selected by the schools themselves and got submitted to Atal Innovation Mission for further consideration. And what did we find? We found among the top 100 innovations of the Atal Tinkering Marathon, 45% of the students who won the marathon were girl students. So a big hand to the entire girl student and the girl community for showing the possibilities of innovation and entrepreneurship. We looked at this and analyzed this across the country. We wondered, how is it that the girl students are actually performing even better? Because though we had 45% winners, you have to remember that In most of the schools, you don't have an enrollment of 50% of girls. In fact, the enrollment of girls is a much smaller number for various societal reasons. And therefore, the performance of these girls and the girl children, in terms of innovation and the potential for entrepreneurship amongst these students, is extraordinary. And it was not very surprising for us to analyze and find the results. 3 things stood out in terms of the girl students. Number 1, their ability to multitask was very good. And when you come to innovation, you need the ability to multitask between various things that go towards making an innovation work. The second was their attention to detail. Girl children and women in general are having attention to detail much more than the boy students. And the third was their ability to communicate with each other freely and seek help. Now, when you have that, the ability for you to reach across and create a solution much quicker than any boy does who is shy by nature, who is not so communicative by nature, all of these factors go into making the girl student a lot more innovative, a lot more capable and talented to be able to become entrepreneurial. Now then we go to the university level. At the university level, the Atal Innovation Mission has been setting up Atal incubators. These incubators are dedicated spaces where 25 to 30 startups can be fostered in every incubator because of a grant that the government gives. We give 10 crores of grant to every incubator. Now here, we have had more than 250 startups just in the last 2 years, fully led by women, and we have 2 incubators which are women-led incubators. Now that is showing a change. I mean, out of 1,200 startups that have started in the last 2 years, 250 of them are women-led startups. There are 3 women-led incubators in our midst in the 50 incubators that are operational. The one at Banastali is something that you should all visit. Banastali University is the largest women university in the country, and it is one of the largest in Asia. We have more than 52 women-led startups operating from there. From A-Leap in Hyderabad, I'll be completing in a few minutes. From A-Leap in Hyderabad, we have another 60 to 70 startups, and therefore, the ability of women to become entrepreneurs in the new India is an extraordinary ability that all of us should be able to promote and be able to ensure. And I said there are 4 factors that are very important. 1, the cultural factor. We have to break down all the barriers that are there for women empowerment and allow them to flower and blossom to their full potential. Second, we have to provide funding capability for women entrepreneurs. There are many NGOs who are focused on that, but every state, every company, every corporate should do that in order to ensure women empowerment. The third, you need access to knowledge and skill development for many of the women entrepreneurs across the country, especially in the rural and the coastal and the hilly districts. And finally, you need to be able to provide platforms for them to incentivize them to become entrepreneurial in their ventures, because many of the women can operate because of technology, because of access to the web, because of World Wide Web, because of mobile phones and so on. You can actually become an entrepreneur sitting down at home. You don't really need to go to a workplace or to an office. All of these possibilities exist. And it is up to us as a society, as a country, as people working in the corporates, as individuals, and as women mentors. We also need a whole lot of women mentors. In fact, the NITI Aayog has created a platform called the Women Entrepreneurship Platform, on which all the women entrepreneurs, all the women mentors can register, people who can fund women organizations or women-led entrepreneurships, and that becomes a platform for exchange, for knowledge exchange, as well as for building networks and relationships. I'm very happy to be part of this gathering today in recognition of a very disruptive approach of how we can create women entrepreneurs and how we can ensure a brighter future for all of us. Thank you so much.